Michaels. You can buy stuff. Oops, sorry, Megan. I got ahead of myself. Didn't mean
No, you're fine. I just got
to.
here
Okay.
late.
That's okay. You had groups to make. So I was just showing to them about the pink paint. So, and again, I got some on myself. So this is a really good example that we're not perfect, and that we have to do a really good job in order to wash our hands appropriately. So if you want to go into the Glow Lab component of this, which this is in your book, and it talks about the Glow Germ Gel, which there is a powder form, and again, Megan can get you all of this, but let's just say that you want to do this a lot further with your classes. I do recommend the lotion. It works really well. But after about 2 or 3 years, it's time to get new lotion. So what you would do is in your instructions, it talks about, explaining to the kids about how to wash their hands and that we can't see the germs that are around us. And you've got your little Epidorfer tube full of lotion. So you would take this and apply it directly to your kids' hands. It's a little bit harder with the Epidorfer tube, but when you have the lotion, you can just go around and kind of squirt it in the kids' hands. It's not coming out of the oven door really well. And then just tell them to really kind of get it all over the place. Like get it in their knuckles, get it in their fingernails. And then, of course, with the UV light, and I'm sorry I'm in my brightly lit basement, but you can kind of see that I have goo on my hands. And explaining to them that this is an example of how we have tiny little microbes all over us all the time. And ooh, fingernails looking really good right there. I know that the light's not great. Here, let me turn my basement light on. Ooh, look. Nice, nasty fingernails. So, of course, this will pull a really good crowd with your middle schoolers or your high schoolers about, oh, that was terrible, about how disgusting their hands really are. And then this would be when we go and teach them how to properly wash their hands. So if you have sinks in your classroom, this is a really great time to let them get at the soap in your classrooms and wash their hands thoroughly. And again, if they haven't done a really good job, pull out the UV light again and go, okay, you didn't do a good job. It's still up underneath your fingernails. And then also explaining when we are doing aseptic techniques in the lab, it's really important to wear our safety gloves so that way that doesn't happen. But also explaining that we wash our hands before we put on gloves and after we take our gloves. So, does anybody have any questions about the Glow Lab component or other ways that you can do things with your kids in your classroom? So while Megan was talking, I taught lab safety early on with my middle schoolers, and I'm going to show you really quick. So Megan has supplied me with a tremendous amount of PPEs over the years. I have boots, I have full gear, I have a hood, I have gloves that go over, I have hair nets, I have gowns, I have sleeves. And while I was teaching lab safety with my middle schoolers, I was showing them what you would do in industry, even with my sixth graders, that it's never too soon to explain to them the importance of what would happen if you worked in a hospital or a clean room. And the kids were like, you've got to put all that stuff on every time we do a lab. And I was like, well, no, not for our middle school labs. But, if you go up to the high school, there are some labs where you have to put on. And then explaining that, like, if I had to go to the bathroom, I'd have to take all of this off and throw it in the trash can, go to the bathroom, come back and put all this stuff back on. And they were just kind of shocked that that happens. But again, it's never too soon to teach your kids about the jobs that they can do. Full kids wear lab coats. So even with your middle schoolers, one thing that I do with mine is every day when we're doing a lab, they know we're doing a lab because I have my lab coat on. And they're just like, oh, we're doing a lab today. Like they'll see me in the hallways and they haven't had me yet during the day. And it's like, oh, she's got her lab coat on. We get to the lab today. I get them excited. And then also explains that like we wear certain equipment when we do labs and then we don't when we're just kind of like gets them in their mindset. But the big ones really like it too. So the next thing that we get to do today, which is super fun, is micropipetting. Can I get like some faces and a thumb up on if you've ever micropipetted before? Some of you have chosen to stay dark on your screens.
Yes,
Join
too.
me with your little faces and your thumbs up that you have micropipetted before. Yay. I see some of you have. Oh.
Well, and you watched Jake do it at Telus.
Yes, I did.
So,
And we did it at Tullis. So yes, I know he knows how to micropipette. Oh, we got a thumb up from Rowan. Lovely. Oh, I got a thumb up. Yay. A couple other people. Awesome. Yay, I see the thumb up in
yeah,
the background. Thank you,
Matthew.
Matthew. So we'll just go through some real quick. We're not gonna dumb it down too much for y'all since y'all are fully fun with micropipetting. But something that I love to do with my students is when I put it in their hands, of course, I always tell them that I'm going to walk around and smack them with a ruler like a Catholic school nun. They don't hold it the right way. That kind of freaks them out. Also, sometimes I'll grab their hands as well. But before we even put tips on, I always ask them to close their eyes and to feel the difference between that one and that two push. So if you've got your micro pipette, if you want to close your eyes and feel that one versus that two push, as we go into our solutions and we're going to excuse me, sorry, start over there. We're going to push down to that one, go into our solution, slowly release the button. Then we're going to go into wherever we are, whether it's a petri dish, an Eppendorfer tube, a piece of parafilm, whatever you're putting your solution into, and then really pushing all the way down to that two, explaining to kids that that two is a puff of air to get anything extra out of your micropipette, pulling your micropipette out of wherever it is, and then releasing your thumb very slowly. Because if you pull your thumb out and you're in a solution, you're going to suck it right back up into your micropipette. So good. I'm glad that we're all good and trained on our micropipette. So just to show you a couple little extra things before we get started with food coloring, if you don't feel that your kids are great, something really easy that you can do, and if you want this, I can totally send it to you. I just made a piece of paper and I have a bunch of different sizes of my micro pipettes. Oops, sorry. Nope, that is not doing it the right way. Why are you being difficult? There we go. So I used to have a bunch of different types of micropipettes at different sizes. So all of the dots are the exact same size, but then they can actually see the visible difference. So here they'd be using a 2 to 20. This one's a 2 to 200, a P20. I've also got some for 1,000. So if you want something like this, and all it is it's in a page protector. I know Megan provided you little cards which are also the exact same thing. It's getting your kids comfortable with micropipetting. And I know you only have a few, but she can get you a ton of these. Mini PCR will give you as many. So before you got here, or if you haven't done it, you should have up for miniature little with 25 milliliters of water and your different food colorings. Everybody ready on that front? Again, if you're moving around and you don't have time to do that, it is okay. But you should have your 4 little cups with your drops of food coloring. If you want your colors more vibrant, of course, you can add more drops of food coloring. And I also have some variations on this lab as well when it comes to the micropipetting. So in your protocol, you have the fun different images from Micro PC. You can see there's a fun little crab. Some of those things are. What are those? Megan, do you know what all those things are?
So one's a crab, one's a butterfly.
I
But
got it.
what do you mean? The tens?
Oh, no, I know what the tens are. I was trying to get the
Okay.
images. I'm like, for some reason, I'm like, I can see the crab, but the other ones I'm like a little lost on. So I'm going to go with the crab.
Yeah, there's like a flower, I think, when you start to get into the like mixy ones.
Okay, we'll go crab. That'll be. But something that's fun with these, like if you're bored with your kids over the holidays, there's actually a couple of websites that will give you a grid. And just like they have the crab here, you would have a completely blank grid, and you can get your kids to design different images for the petri dish. One year for Christmas, the kids designed their own little Christmas images. And when you get your dye just the right kind of consistency, and if you leave your petri dishes out overnight, the water will evaporate and the dye will be behind. And you can create fun little Christmas ornaments with a little chenille stem or a pipe cleaner. I don't know if your school does like Christmas trees, or you could do like jack-o'-lanterns for Halloween, get kids to decorate all sorts of fun stuff. And I'll show you another one later on with 96 well plates. Everybody doing okay? There's so many people that don't want to show their faces. They're just like high schoolers. All right. So since we're doing the crab, and again, if you prefer to do a different one, you are totally welcome to. So with your, and I'm going at this one from a sideways, each one of the numbers indicates 10 microliters. So since we're all pros when it comes to micropipettes, when you're using your dial, you just want to slowly move it to 10. And teaching your kids that these things are fragile and expensive is really good. And not to teach them like that this is a fidget spinner, because it is most definitely not.
And on
Scare them.
this one, 10 is 100.
Yes, because we have a decimal on these. If you have other ones, it may not have that decimal dial on it. But yes, 10. I always scare my kids. You break it, you buy it. And then you just kind of threaten them with how much they might actually cost, which some of them are a little bit cheaper than that. Especially if you get the deals on Amazon, they're a lot cheaper. But if you don't have enough for your whole class, Megan can totally help supply you to do these labs. When you go to enough of these training seminars, you get enough to stock a classroom, which is super awesome. I did that myself. And then you can build up to getting the different variations of them. So once you've got your dial set, you're gonna put on a tip with your micropipette. And then you're gonna go through the very steady process of depressing to that 1, going into your liquid, pulling your thumb up. Again, I should have made mine a little bit darker. And then going into your petri dish and finding a location and depressing all the way to 2. Got a little dot there. Easy peasy. Again, you just keep doing that over and over again. And it's these type of skills, even though this seems pretty meticulous, some kids, they'll notice that they shake a whole bunch. But over time and practice, they get a lot better at this. Make fun little pictures with you. And again, if mini PCR also has another one that has like a globe on it and a fish. They have a bunch of different ones that you can look at. Biorad has a bunch as well. You can also teach your kids better aseptic techniques in the fact that every single time would technically get a brand new tip, but since you're using the same color over and over again, you could use the same tip. But as soon as you transition to a different color, you would want to extract your tip, get a new tip on, and keep going. So if y'all are going to keep doing that, I'm going to show you some examples of things that you can also do with your students. Fogging up. So some other things that I do with my students is I use 96 well plates. And the same thing with these images, that you can get a completely blank one and let your kids design their own from a creative standpoint. You can do the exact same thing with a 96 well plate. It also teaches them to recognize the alphabet and your numbers and knowing how to follow along with a grid. I have a lab, and I would be happy to share this with any of you, that they can first they get like a sample with instructions that says, like, in A4 you're going to put 10 microliters of red, and then you're going to put 15 microliters of blue, which of course is going to make purple, and hopefully they know their primary colors. And then they, of course, would get like a fun image that they would create afterwards. I have some that help them practice their initials. And again, it's all about the technique of moving your micropipette from one well to the next well. And then the last little thing that I do with them is I let them create their own. And just to show you, get fun with. So I had a kid create a snowman. That one just happened to be Christmas time. Kids like the aspect of getting creative. I had a gingerbread man that was created, and these are all just 96 well plates. One of the, again, if you've got middle schoolers, you can let them be creative with this. You can let them be dish. If you have high schoolers, you can up the ante. And since 1 milliliter equals 1 gram, you can work on their accuracy and precision and weigh the plate beforehand. And then they can calculate how many microliters they dispersed into their wells, then add all of those up and then see how many grams they have, and then put their plate on a scale and see what their precision was. And then, of course, they can go percent error and do some math calculations with that to determine how well they did. Um, Depending upon how long your class period is, this takes a little bit of time, but if they weigh their plates beforehand, they can get a pretty accurate reading of what they are doing. But that's another really fun one as well. Um, I think when it comes to no matter your age group of kids, they always like to try things that are new. When you let them play with cool lab equipment, that ups the ante with kids as well. And if you're going, I don't know when I'm going to incorporate this in my class time, maybe it's a pep rally day and you have a weird schedule, or it was club day and the kids act crazy on club days. You can entice them with doing fun lab activities and letting them have fun lab equipment. You can also, if you don't have petri dishes, you can also use parafilm. You can use wax paper. You can use all sorts of fun stuff in kitchens to make these labs work if you don't have all the equipment. Um, Really, as long as you've got the micropipettes and you can borrow those from Megan, you can make all sorts of fun micropipette art with your students. And then this is one of those skills that like if they can't get down micropipetting, it makes it really difficult to do like the gel electrophoresis because it becomes like a muscle memory. So the more you can practice with your kids, the better they get with this. Which again, using just a basic piece of paper with a page protector on top of it, and then they can see that they splattered when they depressed the button or that they moved their dot all over the place. And it's real easy just to get a paper towel and go, no big deal, start over, try again, keep going at it. And they can do this while they're not with you. And it's just cool to see like the different incremental sizes of the micro pipette dots as they keep going and getting better at this, which the kids really love doing this. Or if they need more practice, you just give them a page, give them a micro pipette, and they can come in before school or, after school and let them practice and get better at it until, they're, micropipetting like masters. But there's so many labs that like the fundamental component is micropipetting. Do y'all have any questions? They're so quiet, Megan. Isn't it true that teachers make the worst students?
They're working. Um, yeah, it's well, we ended up with a smaller group today. You're supposed to have twice as many people in here, and I think you
Oh,
guys were
well,
the ones that like got stuck in hurricane and
that is
all the
okay.
crazies. So hopefully we'll have a bigger group next week. Um,
Hey, that's okay.
one of
And
the
I
other
see that Megan would love for you to take a picture of your petri dish when you're done so that she can have images.
yeah, send them
Plus,
to
of
me.
course, if you have like an Instagram or social media, the kids love taking pictures of the stuff that they do. If you let your kids make TikToks and stuff like that, they can make a TikTok on how to use a micropipette. That could also be a really fun video, and then it can turn into an instructional video for your kids later on. It could be a really fun homework assignment because the kids like making videos about themselves. Or you can get your tech students in your school to help you make videos, like really cool instructional videos that then you can on YouTube. So if you're ever out or if a kid needs a refresher course, they have those videos there to help them. A lot of different fun applications. Doing such a good job.
But yeah, feel free to, if you are on social media, we have Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. Feel free to tag us with your post. Talk about biotech infusion. We can still take your colleagues if they still want to sign up this week and join you next week. I'm happy to still send them a box. So get the word out. And then one of the other applications with micropipettes, I had a chemistry teacher that was doing like all of their reactions in a 96 well plate. So she had them pipetting to save on reagents. So they could still see the color change in the 96 well plate for any chemical reactions.
So I can tell you that some of my high school students that have graduated and when they went on to college, that they were miles ahead of other students because they knew what a micropipette was and they knew how to use it. And their instructors were shocked that they actually knew what micropipettes were and how to use them properly and actually use them as aids in the classroom to help other students that had no idea what they were doing. So with this one, like with the crabs and the different images that are here, where they have like the 10 already there. So something that's a little bit more advanced. Not good with this video. I got to work on that part. Sorry, Megan. I'll get better. But here, like with the 96 well plate, they give the code for the well and the numbered column for it to go in. So this is just a really good application for paying attention to instructions. And then they get like a mystery picture at the end. Some of them even have like clues like this affected Snow White. So it'll be like, oh, it's going to be an and it should look like an apple when they're done with it. Or if you're in life science, there's a bunch of them that look like a double helix. So you could totally implement this during your DNA lesson. Um, but again, I have a ton of these. If you want any of these resources, please feel free to email me. This can easily be upgraded to high school, or you can easily manipulate this for your younger kids, especially like if you have a science club in your middle school. Not sure how many teachers in here are middle school teachers. Some are.
See a couple hands. Rowan, I know Jake is.
Oh, Beverly's one too. Rowan, are you, which science are you?
Life science.
So you're seventh grade?
Mhm.
Beverly, are you seventh grade too? He's giving me the thumbs up that yes, he is also a seventh grade life science. Looks like everybody is. I'm over here sadly teaching earth science this year, but I get seventh grade life science next year and I'm starting a science club. Oh, I love your crab. Lovely. Oh, she's in high school. So
Yeah, we've got a couple high school folks.
you teach a high schooler how to use a micropipette, and if they're going to college to do anything with biology, you have given them an amazing resource, like just to know how to use these things. Like when my boyfriend went to do his PhD, that was really the first time that he had ever used a micropipette. He was like synthesizing like amino acids with protein, but it's just a really cool skill because there are so many industry applications. So I live in Gainesville and we are the poultry capital of the world, so chickens. And there's a lab here where these old ladies that I don't think ever went to college, all they do is take blood samples of chicken all day long, testing to make sure that they don't have any diseases in them. And I took my kids on a field trip there and I was like, look at what those old ladies are doing. What are they doing? They're like, oh, they're micropipetting. Like, do you see the skill that these people have? And like, you don't have to go to college and you can get jobs doing this. And if those organizations really like you, they'll pay for you to go to college because Fieldale, which is a chicken corporation here as well, they're lead microbiologists he's a microbiologist now because that company paid for him to go to college. They saw that he had an amazing skill set and that he was going to do great things. So they paid for him to go to college. And he turned around and, of course, dedicated more time to Fieldale because they paid for his career. And he has a master's in microbiology. And again, micropipetting all day long. Chickens. They're also also later on, we're going to do more micropipetting and we're going to do some gel electrophoresis. So this definitely transitions into future things. You can use food coloring applications or gel electrophoresis. You don't even have to go buy the expensive, DNA and chemicals. You can mix your food colorings, and they will totally work in gel electrophoresis. And Megan can all sorts of fun equipment to use for your kids, whether a demo if you don't think your kids can handle it. But they love to watch stuff like that happen in front of them, and you can just put your hover cam up. Excuse me, and they can watch the gel electrophoresis happen in front of them, which they think stuff like that's really. You can also purchase the really, really tiny DPTPs or the disposable pipettes, the ones that have the like elongated tip. They'll also work as micropipettes as well. Excuse me. No, he got his crab done. The rest of you, if you didn't do a crab or you didn't do a butterfly at some point in time, you do one of these, it won't take you long, and you send a picture to Megan. Be good students. Or if you want to be creative and make your own little outline and color it in
Yeah.
whatever beautiful colors of the rainbow you want to, be creative.
I think the third page was like an invent your own, something like that. But I think it's a nice calming activity, and
Yep.
you can watch a show
Quiet
while you
rainy
do
day
it.
activity. Oh, there's the one with the color. I couldn't find that one earlier. So yeah, there's your flower. Oh, look, it's a picturesque mountain scene. How pretty.
Mhm.
But again, if you've got artsy fartsy kids, letting them get creative, or maybe you want to do a holiday theme, that would be super fun. And again, over here where they've got your different colors, you can easily mix these with your food dyes from the grocery store. And you can also buy neon ones too. Let the kids get creative. If you want to do white, the trick is coffee creamer. Doesn't go bad. Super quiet. Do y'all have any questions? Have any of y'all decided what labs you're going to implement in with your students? Some of you, I'm sure, are overachievers and are already thinking about which one you're going to do in your classroom. See him shaking his head yes. Is that in the email? The answer is yes.
So
It
if
should
you
be
look
in the
through your
booklet.
binder, the binder that came in your box, you'll be able to see all of the different labs that we're doing in the fall. Which if you see one that really speaks to you, you are welcome to pick it after we finish these. So if you email me November 6th and say, I want to do this lab before break, I'll make it happen.
And if you decide that there is a lab that's like further away right now and you need some tips on what to do or how to do it, I'll be more than happy to have a one-on-one Zoom session with you and talk you through. Um, I'm also the queen of like grocery store labs. So if you need to find a way to make it cheap and make it simple, um, and maybe like the lab instructions are a little bit too much or too intense for your age group, I also have the very short and sweet, like skirt, short and sweet, get to the point. I have those instructions as well, not only for teachers but for students. So I'll be happy to share any of my resources. Also, if you teach like upper level kids and you need stuff for high school, I taught essentials to biotechnology and applications to biotechnology. So I have a wealth of resources that any AP biology teacher could use as well. And I'm learning how to manipulate these for middle schoolers. So no questions? Have anything that you want to leave our lovely teachers with?
Me?
Mhm.
I think I said everything.
Okay, just double
But
checking.
yeah, Cynthia is a wealth of knowledge, and we're here to support you guys. So I'm a former high school teacher, but I was certified grades 6 through 12. So happy to also help. And I have a lot of Cynthia's resources already. So we'll help, yeah, get you guys doing as much hands-on as you can. That's the best way for them to learn. And to boot, they get these skills that really they'll step into their high school. And Cynthia and I have talked about she's getting her middle school students to where they're going to walk into high school and say we're bored. So the teachers are going to have to do a little bit more with getting new hands-on labs into the class and really we're creating an arms race um, against the high schools. So happy to, increase the rigor of the labs that they're doing and really get them ready to hit the ground running and, excel at whatever they want to do after high school. So also showing them that doesn't mean a 4-year degree.
Especially if you have like rural kids or kids that maybe don't think college is an option for them, that they can't afford it. Honestly, go get a job doing this, making $40,000 with no debt. And I know that $40,000 doesn't seem like a whole much, but it is enough to live off of. I mean, we're all first year teachers at one time, and somehow we did it and we're still alive. Um, but it's an opportunity. Like, this is a really amazing skill um, that doesn't take a degree. And I really like to hit that home with all of my students that, like, hey, college might not be an option, but we can find you a really cool job in science. Um, I like to make them all little scientists and make them want to do this because they love labs. This is like in middle school, this is the first time that they've had like real science. And there are so many really cool things that you can do with them. If you have a high school biotechnology teacher that you are feeding her program or his program, tell them to bring the kids down to you because seventh grade life science, there's extracting DNA out of strawberries. I used to take my biotech, my high school students down to the middle school, and I worked with those kids. I taught, over 1,000 plus middle schoolers how to extract DNA. And then we talked about, like what we can do with that DNA. And the kids thought it was really cool. I mean, you can do it with their own spit with their cheeks, but I personally think that's disgusting. Strawberries is a lot safer, in my opinion, unless you've got food allergies, but you can do a wide variety of fruits and vegetables. Um, but they think that stuff is cool. You give them scales and test tubes and salt and teach them to make solutions. Like, even just that little stuff right there, like those kids get excited. They made a soapy salt solution and they're going to use that to extract DNA out of a strawberry. They think that stuff's cool. And if you can transition that, yeah, it's the Ziploc bag and soap. Oh, I can totally give you my directions on that works every single time. The hint is really, really cold denatured DNA. That's the trick. Got to get that stuff like freezer cold. But I can send you my instructions on how to do that. Works every single time. The trick is also really teaching them to like not make bubbles and to really mush the bejesus out of that strawberry and break through all those cell walls. But yeah, I can send you my lab for that. I do it with middle school. Love it. And it also smells like strawberry daiquiris afterwards with the alcohol and the strawberry, but we don't tell them. Other questions? That's all I had was teaching both of those labs. But again, if you, oh, my contact information. And I would be like, if you need help setting up your lab or you're stressed and like, I have no idea what to do, if you give me enough of a heads up, I can come down and help you. I'd be happy to take a day off from work and help you set up your lab and run it with your kids so that you feel more comfortable with it. I have flexibility. And don't forget to take pictures of your petri dish. Send it to Megan. And we get to see y'all all again next Tuesday.
Yeah, and I think your email, Cynthia, has been in every email I've sent. I've been copying them on like everything, probably to an annoying level. And I think it's in the binder too. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. So,
Yeah, I
Cynthia's
saw it
email
after
is
I asked. I
there.
was like, whoops.
Yeah,
Oh
no
no,
worries.
not right.
So,
It
but
says Secret
if
Alco.
there's
Not right.
yeah, if there's anything you like think you should have that you don't, or just you want, like email me, email Cynthia. We'll make sure that you get everything and get as much as you can to do more hands-on. So do you guys have any other thoughts about using this with your students? Matthew, you're muted. I think you're trying to talk.
But
Oh, hey, Dacia.
I think I'll try this one for this year. Last year, I know I tried one and that was too complicated for my students. So this one, teaching them how to pipette is would be the first step in starting another task or choosing another lab.
Yeah, and happy to send you everything to do that. I think you know the drill with how to reach me at this point. Yeah, making pictures. Quality crafting. Then maybe have them write it up afterwards to describe what they're doing. Something to get them actually writing for that literacy component. Yeah, send them out. You can also press it onto a coffee filter, and then they can kind of like take their image with them, or a paper towel if you have the white ones. The brown, it doesn't show up so well, but yeah, you can let it dry or press it so they get some take home from it.
What I do find is that I like taking pictures. So I allow them to really take pictures and upload them. So I like that.
Yeah, let
Yeah.
them make a photo journal out of it.
I'm sure a lot of you have your own learning platforms, but like letting the kids take a picture of it and then uploading it to their learning platform and giving them a grade, and just like the technicality of like taking a picture, uploading it, and submitting it properly, even at this level. could also use the coffee filters like for later on in doing chromatography. And then you can also make it look like a fun little a tie-dyed snowflake.
I'm sorry, I'm getting too into typing. I should just talk. Yeah, so a lot of the kids in my school, they're pretty smart, but they're not really motivated to get through like a paragraph of text to read or like any instructions I would write down for them. They're not going to read that. Writing is is a big ask too. So I definitely feel like, we're getting biotechnology industry, I think, is starting close to Athens. I definitely feel like, some of these kids are smart enough to where, and that this is kind of stuff they'd like to do. I've had students that are like, "Hey, can I please do the dishes instead of doing this assignment?" And I'm starting to think, is that what you would prefer to do for your career? You'd rather
I
be doing
mean,
that
they
instead of
can.
doing the other stuff? I mean, probably, yeah.
It's
I
an
mean, if,
option.
like the speaker was saying, just do the same thing over and over every day, just procedural, and eventually you don't even have to think about it. And I feel like, yeah, some of these kids would probably like to do that. And this isn't actually a way for those kind of people to make a career out of it. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So
And Jake,
here,
the Athens industry is absolutely booming for biotech. And like Boehringer Ingelheim Animal Health, we've worked with them a lot on removing the degree requirement from their job openings. So a lot of them, they will accept a high school diploma as long as they have that skill set and can show that they have the skills.
also, if
Yeah, I
you're
think
So
we're
near Athens,
getting, go ahead.
go ahead.
Okay. I think we're getting a pathway associated with that.
So in Athens, if you call Athens Tech, they have a biotechnology program there. Your kids can take a tour of their facility and they will do a lab with your students as well. So just putting that out there, it's another resource that you can use.
yeah. And so I'm also on the biomanufacturing pathway at the Career Academy. I've been helping build that program. So there's biomanufacturing at the Career Academy, and then yeah, anybody that wants to start a biotech pathway at their school, we can help with that. We help write the biotech curriculum. So happy to connect with resources, and I'm also on the Athens Tech advisory board. So happy to connect you with Nicole, who runs the bioscience program there. Just shoot me an email and remind me to do that because it's been a long week.
You're an ag teacher, stay online and I will tell you about an amazing resource at the UGA Poultry Lab. They have a chicken day. It is a great field trip. Your kids will see amazing things and it also incorporates biotechnology. Y'all don't have any
Well,
further questions. It looks like Megan said I'm okay. Y'all are welcome to cease and desist. And again, don't forget to send your pictures to Megan. But if you do have any other questions or need help with a lab or like an easier write up for students, I've created the wheel for you so you don't have to. So please feel free to email me. And I put my email in the chat because the one underneath my picture is not right. It's actually Cynthia.Greer. It's emailed me there.
Okay, yeah, sorry.
That's okay. I just noticed it myself. I was like, oh, that's not my email.
Cool.
But I am in all the emails that Megan is sending. So.
Okay, and I'll stop recording.